Braveheart Workshops, Inspiring Connection. Restore. Dream. Getaway Experiences. Love, live, and laugh. With Braveheart Workshops. Live now with Jill Reynolds.
Show, Restore, Renew, and Reconnecting Community, sponsored by Braveheart Workshops, live with Jill Reynolds. And joining me today from Branson, Missouri is Grant Sloan. Welcome to the show, Grant.
Thanks for having me, Jill.
Well, we're pleased that you could join us. I know you're an extremely busy man, so I'd love the audience to know just a little bit about who you are, Grant. Grant is the Vice President of the Branson, Missouri Chamber of Commerce and CVB, and he's responsible for all the Chamber memberships, sponsorships, events, marketing, and other revenue-generating projects. Grant organizes the direction of the stakeholder-lead boards to increase tourism in Branson. He also manages the development of special projects like the 5-year economic growth plan called 5 in 5, the 2020 Emmy cellphone data collection program, and Branson's first theater industry study. Grant has increased the chamber sponsorship by 30% his first year in as vice president at the chamber. Grant has also been the face and voice at KOLR Channel 10 TV from 2014 to 2017, and a news anchor and reporter in Springfield, Missouri, and at KOTV Channel 6 from 2011 to 2014 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Grant has also received an Emmy nomination as a TV reporter, and he graduated from Harding University with his master's in business admin and his bachelor's in broadcast journalism. So a well-rounded personality and face of Branson, Grant. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing who you are.
I don't know if there's anything left to share. I think you touched on all of it. So we may.
I'm a fun interviewer, so you'll find out that there's lots more to tell about Grant Sloan. Today's Reveal Grant Day.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, goodness. So, Grant, one thing I enjoy when I have somebody on my show is I love to connect dots in life. I think it's just an important way of getting to know people better. So if we can connect Grant's dots back to Grant being a child and where you grew up, tell us a little bit about your childhood, Grant, and then what led you into broadcast journalism and now into this type of field you're in with the Chamber.
For sure. So I'm from right here in the Ozarks, to begin with. Douglas County, folks that may be familiar with Ava in that area. I grew up on a dairy farm down there. And so, the Ozarks and the outdoors absolutely hold a special place in my heart. As I really looked to, I was the first person in my family to go to college. And so when you're kind of, going through the door first, you don't exactly know, what the path you're supposed to choose. And so I think like so many folks that kind of going, well, I'm just going to be a doctor, or I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to be something along those lines. And then you kind of learn a little bit about that and then what that entails. You're like, I don't know that that's what I want to do. And also you have to take lots and lots and lots of school, even though I didn't know at that time I'd go back to school. But broadcast journalism was a fit for me. My voice is one of kind of my unique characteristics, and just really chatting with my friends. If I'm being completely honest with you, I was out of general education classes, and I'm sitting with some friends basically my sophomore year, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, what path do I want to take? And they're like, well, you know a lot about sports, and you have a voice, and you're good on camera. Why don't you go try to be a sports broadcaster. And so that was the route that I initially kind of set out on. And as I kind of got a little bit deeper into it, learned about all sorts of communication, learned about advertising, learned about marketing and graphic design and videography, and really just kind of found that if I was going to go the news route, that probably another angle, at least starting out. I mean, to be honest, if you want to make money as a sports reporter, you better be in it for the long haul, because you're going to need to get into a big market or go get on Sports Center to be able to make a decent living there. And so with local news, really being a reporter or a news anchor is where you can really kind of begin climbing the ladder, so to speak. And so I jumped off into that, into Tulsa, Oklahoma, and which is fairly uncommon for somebody straight out of college, but had a news director that I think they're the 70th largest market, or maybe 50th. I can't remember exactly. But normally you go to Timbuktu somewhere out of school, but had a news director that believed in me and took a chance on me. And so definitely was a baptism by fire, going and knocking on the doors of murderers in some instances, or families that have lost loved ones, or tackling issues that absolutely nothing about, tax incentives and things of that nature. And then
you were doing news when news was news.
Well, no, I mean I
Oh, come on!
no,
I'm being facetious
sure,
with
sure.
the media today.
No, so I can get in there. I can get it. But I knew what fake news was before anybody else did. I was the first one to know what fake news was. So, and honest to God, that's part of the reason I think I got out of it. And this is, I think that, all joking aside, there is a you can put a lot of folks into a box and generalize, and that's not fair, because there are some very good news reporters out there, and it provides an incredibly valuable service where you're holding people accountable that need to be held accountable. But I think on the other side of the coin, at least what I experienced is most people are trying to do the right thing. Most people, and I mean just normal people, right?
Normal. I like how you said that. Normal
right,
people.
Right. So people that aren't on TV and wear makeup every day, or 5 days a week. And so, I can count on one hand the number of people that I outside of, say murders and that kind of thing, 5 people that really had malice and a strategy to really do harm to someone.
Yeah.
But most people are out there just trying to do their best, and they make a mistake.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's funny that you got into the media, because my story is a little bit strange here, Grant. My college that I went to was called the School of Hard Knocks. So right out of high school, I'm 66. So I graduated in the 70s. And so I hitchhiked around the United States for 2 years and ended up in San Diego. I ended up first in Arizona, then Portland, then San Diego. And along my route, actually take me back to the 70s, my first roommates, I ended up, this is a funny story, because you were in media, you'd get a kick out of this. My very first place I lived with a male black probation officer, a Caucasian gay male cab driver, and I'm saying this just so people understand the dynamics, because I moved from the suburbs of Chicago, never experiencing different things in life. And then my roommate, Kathy, was a Playboy bunny. And so, so I remember, and I was a Holiday Inn Central Reservations, and I remember one of my favorite bands of the 70s was Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and they were sold out. So Kathy and I went to the Auditorium Theater, and she flashed her Playboy ID to see if we could get in backstage, and we, of course, were able to. And I was smart, Grant, at 18. I thought, okay, we're backstage, and I'm going to take advantage of this. So while backstage, I made sure I got connected with the record promoters, the concert promoters, and the backstage door guy. So before we left the concert, we had everyone covered so that we had backstage access to every rock and roll concert of the 70s. So by the time I hitchhiked and ended up in San Diego, I was friends with the program director of KPRI Radio, and he said that he had just hired a new anchor uh, uh, that was going to do the nightly, the voice of the night. So he asked if she could move in with me until she got settled. So she moved in with me. We became roommates and became great friends. And then I went on to become a promotion assistant at the radio station. Well, she ended up being an anchor at the network news, CBS, I think, or ABC in Los Angeles,
Hmm.
and went on to be pretty famous and been in movies and stuff like that. And she actually ended up marrying Jim Lampley, who I'm sure you know who Lampley is because he did all of the HBO sports boxing and with Tyson,
Hmm.
all the stuff like that. So I had a little bit of background into the media relations of the 70s, completely different markets probably, and it was way before I became a Christian. So it was we did a lot of crazy things back in those
Well,
days.
and in the 70s, I mean, if you were on local news, I mean, you were a movie star.
Yeah.
I mean, there were, three channels, four channels, and you were on at the same time, every night. And absolutely, I mean, when you say, when news was news, I think of the 70s as when news was news,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, and I would hear stories from folks that, were, photographers during that time. And it was, I mean, just crazy because it was like a movie set. It really
Well, and
was.
it's funny because me living there, and I don't mind sharing with her name is, and I don't even know if you'll know her from out here. Her name was she went through three different names because of marriages. She started off as Bree Bouchaw, and then she became Bree Walker, and then Bree Lampley. And she became famous because actually one of the reasons is her mother took the drug when she was in the 50s to prevent miscarriages that caused the deformity where you don't have any fingers and webbed toes. And
Huh.
so she was born with no fingers, just like little like claws and
Huh.
webbed feet. And so when her and I lived together, I had to sometimes help her button a button and stuff. And so she, as a disc jockey where no one could see her hands and feet, they could just see her face. She was, I mean, gorgeous. She looked like Lonnie Anderson and beautiful on all the billboards. She was called the Rock Lady of the Night, really famous. And then she went on to become an anchor. And when they had her on as an anchor, they wanted her to wear prosthesis because they didn't want anyone to see her hands. She did that for 6 months and took them off and said, if you don't want me to show who I am, then I don't want to be in the air. So she became
Hmm.
famous and was on 2020 with Barbara Walters and blah, blah, blah. And because she had two children that were both born the same way.
Huh.
And
It,
so
it passed through,
it
even though
passed,
it's a
yeah,
mutation.
it's a genetic disorder.
Wow.
Yeah, and people, and from being an anchor, you understand what I'm going to say next. She literally had some mean competitive media people in California
Mm.
one day question in her integrity of having children and said, shouldn't you have aborted them instead of making them live the same way you had to? And she was like, wow. So Barbara Walters had her on her show, but
Yeah.
it was interesting. And I one of the things I did is I would sit with her at night, and she'd play back her shows and have me critique them with her. And
Yeah.
you remember those days, don't you, Grant?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you're always your own worst critic.
Yeah,
So,
or
well,
your friends helping you critique you.
and I always got plenty of that. I always got plenty of text messages. In pictures and, but I mean, always in good fun.
So
Always in
take
good
so
fun.
take us from Tulsa then. So what happened in Tulsa, and how then did you end up in Branson and Springfield
So,
then?
so I think, once I had been in news for a couple of years, I knew that wasn't the fit for me. I knew that really wasn't what I wanted to do long term, and I saw that, if you're wanting to really advance and get to the top, that's 60 Minutes, that's CBS News, that's these different, and that just isn't really what excited me, and that's not what I wanted to dedicate my life to, and so I knew I wanted to go in a different direction. And so, home again back here in Southwest Missouri. So, I had relocated kind of closer to my family. and went back to school to get my MBA just to kind of differentiate myself from, because generally speaking, the normal jump out of media is public relations. And I didn't really want to go that route. So I wanted to kind of have, and I mean, I'm a numbers person. I mean, I'm very analytical, and truth be told, I mean, I can't spell worth anything, and which is funny that I ended up in journalism. Numbers are definitely my strength. And so I went back to school, and once I got out, I'd actually made quite a few connections here in Branson, including the president and the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. And I didn't even really know what the Chamber of Commerce was, other than they always had a positive spin on everything. And which bothered me to begin with, because I'm coming out of Tulsa and I'm hard hitting news, and how dare you put a flowery spin on everything. And then I, later with time, I realized, they're out to always be promoting tourism and always bringing people to town, and got really close to the folks here. And so whenever I looked to get out of news, I talked to my then, or who would become my boss, Jeff Seifert, and basically told him, hey, I'm looking to take a move, looking to do something different. Here's my skill set. And he knew what I was saying, was like, hey, I want to come work for you. And it took 2 or 3 meetings, but anyway, he hired me on, and I had no idea what a chamber was, what a CVB or a Convention and Visitors Bureau was, but turned out it's one of the best decisions I've made in life.
Well, what you do is really exciting, and there's so many different hats you can wear, like the marketing, the ribbon cutting, the building the businesses, the events and stuff. So I think, to me, it sounds like just an exciting job, where when you're doing news, news is exciting, and there's lots of different aspects of it, but the multitude of things that you can create at the chamber is indefinite. You can just keep going on and on with creativity.
Well, it definitely is. I think I absolutely get to set my own pace and my own, if I want to work on, just kind of zooming out a little bit if I can, and then I'll kind of come back into that question. So, with the chamber in CVB, we're very unique. We not only serve as the voice of business to government, to cut through red tape. That's why we have chamber membership, so that we can go to the city of Branson, or we can go to the state, or we can even go to Washington, D.C. And I mean, this is very timely, but the CARES Act, to lobby for legislation or rules that are beneficial to our businesses. We also tell Branson's story. We're the ones that oversee marketing for Branson. If you see a commercial about Branson, chances are we're the ones that organized it and put that together, be that on TV or digital. And then, economic development, we're bringing jobs to the market. We are doing studies so that it can be used for, pro formas for business developers to build affordable housing, or to bring, new businesses in, projects like the aquarium at the boardwalk, or, that was roughly a $100 million aquarium, or, Imagine Resorts, which is a $300 million water park. A lot of people think that stuff just happens. We're the ones there kind of, holding their hand throughout the process to get them to sign on the dotted line. And then also, from a quality of life standpoint, being able to assist our residents here. We just launched, or are on the cusp of launching a new website dedicated to bringing new workers to Branson. That's something that is the biggest challenge for just about every market in the United States. So, measurable things that can improve the industry. And I can go from, literally last night I was on a microphone, emceeing a turkey bowl, and that is a legit sentence that just came out of my mouth, to the day before, launching a website that was over a year in the making, to a month before, working on a study of our theater industry and what built Branson that could if some of those recommendations are implemented, could bring millions of dollars to the market. So,
Well,
uh,
I'm really getting excited hearing this with you, Grant, and I'm so glad we're speaking because um, as I hear you talk, I'm one of those again. I love connecting dots in life. It blows my mind away how so many of us are intertwined and we don't know exactly why God brings us together. And as you're speaking, my brain is just going, wow. My passion, I started Braveheart Workshops, Grant, when I was involved in a really bad car accident. I was told I couldn't work anymore, and I used to be a director of sales at hotel properties in Chicago and a general manager. And my role was to take hotels that were in receivership and turn them around for a profit so that they'd be marketable to sell. And so my first year, you're going to crack up laughing because you know numbers. My first year at a Holiday Inn Express in Deerfield, Illinois, single-handedly, I turned the sales of the property 42% increase
wow,
in 1 year.
wow.
And what I did, Grant, is I thought outside of the box because your select properties, which are your small scale hotels like your Holiday Inn Expresses, your Comfort Inns, your Courtyards, they don't have catering and they just have small banquet rooms. They don't have large scale events like like the Hilton in Branson downtown does. And so what I did is I just got a hold of a small local catering company and said, "Hey, what do you charge for your catering? If I tack on an additional 15%, will you create a marketing menu with a Holiday Inn Express on it so it looks like it's ours? And I'll start selling small meeting room space, including catering, because your breakfast area of a hotel, I mean, this is a great idea for small business hotels. Your breakfast area is empty after 10:30 in the morning. They're
Mm,
done for the day. So I had the catering company bring in and I put out my tables, my eight by 12 tables, and with linens, and I'd bring in buffet like hot Italian beef sandwiches, pastas, your salad bar, hot dogs and chili, whatever, catering, put it out in the breakfast area, and my meeting room was right across the hall. My meeting room was only like 300, I mean, it could hold 32 people. So I started filling meetings from local companies 5 days a week, and I built in catering, which was not part of the profit and loss statement. So now we had an additional 15% gross profit brought into the hotel. So it was just thinking outside of the box, Grant. And it
mm-hmm.
and it was and the other thing that most people don't understand about the hospitality industry is there's a phenomenal software program called Hotel Planner. It doesn't cost much. You key in all your parameters like 50 miles around. And I would literally have my cell phone hooked up. And as a bid came through asking, say, hey, we'd like to do a family reunion in Branson. There's going to be 50 of us. We're looking for lodging. We'd like to have maybe a gathering for the family at night, like pizzas, blah, blah, blah. I'd respond in 5 minutes, go out to bid. I'd close the deal before my competitive hotels in the area even had a chance to get back to their desk. I was closing the deals. And in today's world, where I think so many people miss the mark, is they take 24 to 48 hours to respond to bids.
Sure.
When you're responding to a bid in 5 to 10 minutes, you blow everything out. And so,
Mhm.
anyway, I diverted to that. So when I had to stop working, I started Braveheart Workshops. And I mainly did it because I have a passion to help those who are hurting from burdens in their life, like sexual abuse, post-traumatic stress. And so I ended up starting to do these retreats in Chicago two or three times a year to help people. Well, the lady I did it with knows me as of January because she's now a professor in Boston. And so I rebranded in January, Grant. And I thought, okay, I'm now going to look for leaders who want to do events, but they have no idea how to do them. And I'll be their personal concierge and I will do all the legwork. and all they have to do is get on a plane or drive here or wherever and show up, and I'll pay them to do their events. So I started to be a personal, because my certification is meeting and event planning. In 1 month, I got 5 events on the book for this year, sold out. But this is what I was doing, Grant. Because I'm a new resident of Branson, only 2 years, I thought, okay, I'm living in Branson. This is an amazing place. Why not bring events to Branson? So I started getting like unbelievable events on my book. I was going to do one called Chief for Two, which was going to be the dance in relationships with these 2 professional therapists. We're going to teach you how to work on the dance in your marriage. And then another one was a burden release with a renowned therapist out of the East Coast. So we were getting them on the books, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
But now things are starting to open up. And so my neighbor is the general manager of King's Theater Castle. So I said to her, I said, hey, Jackie, with the theaters closing down in January through, say, the end of February, could I do an event at your theater? And she said, absolutely. So I contracted with her, Grant, and we're doing the Fiercely Faithful Conference in Branson, February 5th through 7th. And my heartbeat is like yours, is tourism is amazing here in Branson, and we have the most unbelievable city on the planet. What I love about Branson is we're 8 hours from Nashville, 8 hours from Chicago, 4 hours from St. Louis, 7.5 to 8 hours from Dallas, Fort Worth, 12 hours from Denver. So who needs to get on an airplane? And yes, I'm not minimizing COVID, but get in the car, come to Branson. We social distance. You know, you got a theater with 1,600 seats. Every other row, we could have 500 people. We'll be safe. And so I just feel like we have an amazing city here.
Well, and I firmly believe that we're just getting started.
Yep.
You know, people look at the 90s and the boom of the 90s, and I mean, absolutely. You know, I think absolutely incredible that something like that would take place in a little town in Southwest Missouri. But there is so much potential in this market, untapped potential. And, you know, I think it requires a couple tweaks, a couple lucky breaks. You know, what do they say? Timing, luck, and talent. That's what our economic development director always says. And if you can get 2 of those, it works, you know, so you only need 2 of the 3. And so I think, you know, we definitely have the timing and the luck are our thing, or the timing and the talent are 2 things that we have here. And sometimes you just need a little bit of a lucky break here and there, but we've really got something special here. You know, you were talking about, you know, the airport, you know, that's something that here locally that we have so much room for growth there, you know, and exposure to our offerings and our very wide variety of offerings here. You know, I think that there are a lot of first-time visitors who have come to Branson as a result of COVID, who are going to be coming back in the future. You know, so I think that really there are some pretty bright days ahead of us. We just need to get through this whole little mess that we're in right now, and you know,
we're going to make it, Grant. I just, you know, and for the audience that doesn't know, I mean, share a little bit about this because you probably know more about it than I do. Is our amazing golf courses. I mean, Tiger Woods just opened a brand new golf course in Branson next to the airport. I mean,
right.
Come on, guys, people who are listening. I mean, bring golf tournaments to Branson. I mean, every hotel should be packed solid with golf tournaments in Branson.
And you know, that's something that we're very firm believers in sports tourism. It is a $40 billion a year industry. Mm-hmm. In fact, the new president and CEO we just hired has a background in that. That's something that he specialized in when he was in South Carolina, which obviously is a big sports state. And you know, that absolutely, you know, but it's not just, and I'm happy to circle back around to the Tiger Woods golf course, because that's pretty awesome. But, you know, and it's not just, you know, your traditional, you know, although we have untapped potential with baseball. We've got Ballparks of America, which these little replica fields that look like major league stadiums, all housed in one area. We have incredible lakes. We have incredible lakes for fishing tournaments. We
We
have
we
like
have we have the best Christian camp in the United States, Kanakuk. And while your kids are at Kanakuk, why are the parents not staying in Branson for a week and chilling out and knowing, wow, I can now have time away with my, whatever, your spouse if you're married, and enjoy Branson while the kids are going to Kanakuk. It's the best Christian camp in the United States. I mean, we've got so much to offer.
Oh, and such a variety. I mean, and then we haven't even talked about Silver Dollar City. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
Silver Dollar City is a top 5 theme park in the United States. And that's not just me saying that. That's USA Today that's saying that.
Yeah.
They do Christmas bigger and better than anybody else. They have the world's tallest, steepest, fastest spinning roller coaster, if you're into that kind of thing. I mean, they have an incredible offering that's tucked just in the hills of the Ozarks. That's really, really unique. And yeah, there's no way that you can come here and do it all in one day. And then we haven't even talked about the shopping or the Branson Landing, where, we call it Lake Taneycomo. It's more of a river. I don't know really where the disconnect was there, but we've all just gone along with it. So anyway, Lake Taneycomo, you can sit along the banks and enjoy lunch or enjoy dinner. And then there's a fire show that's very much Las Vegas style with a water show that's right there in the heart of the landing. And in that project, and this has been 15 years ago. I mean, that was a $600 million project. I mean, there are things that people maybe don't know are in Branson. They kind of associate it with the the Mel Telluses and then that, which is great. I mean, we absolutely love that, but there's so much here, and there's something here for everybody.
Well, my father passed away, Grant, September 30th. We had just a weird September. My sister passed away, then my dad did, and then we all got COVID and da-da-da-da. So my stepmom, who's 85, moved in with my husband and I. We live in Stonebridge Resort right across from Silver Dollar. So we had moved to Branson 2 years ago. We had been looking around the United States. Where do we go to retire? And I had never even been to Branson. And my son lives in St. Louis, and we knew we wanted to be geographic to the grandkids. We have some in Nashville, some in Colorado, some in Chicago, some in St. Louis. So my son said, check out Branson, Mom. I think you'd really like it. So we came and we looked around for about, a couple of weeks at housing, and we saw lots that we liked, but there was always that like 20 to 30% that I was like, but it doesn't have this, doesn't have
Sure.
this. So we decided to interview some contractors, and we found SMJ Builders, and they were great, and they took us to the oh gosh, the Peyton? The golf course?
Paynes Valley.
Payne
Paynes
Stewart,
Valley.
Payne Stewart,
Yeah.
whatever. We
Yeah.
went over there and looked, and then we came to Stonebridge, and we lucked out, Grant. We found a lot on the second hole of Stonebridge Golf Course.
Wow. And that is an incredible golf course too.
It is Ledgestone.
Ledgestone. I mean, that is one of my favorite courses around here.
It's a tough one.
Oh, I didn't say I'm good at golf. I just like playing it.
Yeah. So we found this amazing lot here, Grant. And my husband and I, he's 77, I'm 66, and we thought we're just going to just move and just build a ranch home, the two of us. Well, we started to do the architectural blueprints. This is so funny. We were living in a 2,300 square foot split level in Chicago, and we wanted to downsize, right? So we get here and we put the blueprints together for a ranch, and it comes out to be 2,200 square feet. And then I says, well, what are we going to do if the grandkids want to come visit? And we got just 2 bedrooms. So we said, why don't we build a walkout? So we decided to throw in a walkout that's 2,200 square feet. So we ended up with a 4,400 square feet house.
And we really downsized.
And we were downsizing. So we get here, and we get the kids from Nashville to come to see us twice, and my son from St. Louis twice. So we got this gorgeous 2,200 square foot downstairs with 2 bedrooms and a 30 by 18 great room, and it's empty. like
Yeah.
empty. So I said to my husband, should we rent it out like a Verbo? No, I don't.
Sure.
He goes, I don't want people staying at our house we don't know. So my father passes away. So I said to my stepmom, I says, why don't you move in with us? So she said she would. So she's in our house now. We just had a new refrigerator delivered for her downstairs. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is in the 2 years we've been here, we've been so busy between me trying to build my business at home, working 14-hour days, that we barely ever made it to shows and we barely ever made
Mhm.
it to restaurants. Well, now that she's here, every Saturday she goes, let's go to a show. Let me take you to dinner. So I'm doing all the shows now. I'm going
That's
out to
great.
all the restaurants and I'm putting all my reviews in, you know.
That's wonderful.
And I didn't know of anything until she moved in with us. So, you know, you never know the blessings out of hardship that come to us.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think it's funny that quite a downsize that you did there.
I I know. I know. But I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you guys, everybody that's considering with the state of the country of why you want to leave certain states that are raising your taxes, our taxes in Chicago were, I want to say, close to 9,000 for a 2,300 square feet. And I'm going to just share this and don't raise my taxes, Branson. I think ours are 3,000 here for a house this twice the size in Branson. So I think everybody should sell their houses in Chicago, California. Everybody's selling, move to Branson. We'll have an economic disaster. Yeah, you're like,
You know, you need to get Remax or Keller Williams to sponsor this show because you're going to
Well-
be driving some traffic their way.
well,
So
we still got plenty of land, so you could have a custom built home here too. That's like gorgeous. So what I love to do at this time is transition, and the theme of my show, Grant, is called Restore, Renew, and Reconnect. And I'm one of those, and I love that you said you weren't that great with spelling, and I was never that great with knowing the meanings to words. So
Mhm.
when I chose those words, I decided for 2021, with my guest, to have you tell me and tell the audience for the word restore in 2021. The word means to bring back to previous situations, to reinstate. What would you like to reinstate or restore in 2021?
I think as and I don't even know what the appropriate term would be, but kind of a young professional that's, definitely picking up steam in my profession, making sure that I keep sight of my priorities. I'm not married with kids, and so it's very easy to pour everything into work. And there's always something that I've selected. I mean, it's not like these projects are being put on me. I'm the one, picking on ways to move the needle. But I think definitely gaining different perspective on life and my priorities, and I hate using that term balance because that hasn't worked so far. Using the term work-life balance hasn't been the route to find the solution yet. But I think definitely find things outside of this mission that I'm so passionate about to focus on, for me. And so I think, definitely kind of restoring that sense of purpose outside of work.
Well, I'm grateful you said that because, Grant, I have had a long journey of recovery and healing over the years. And I had the privilege in 1992 to go to treatment for codependency in a little town of Oklahoma, actually, in Miami, Oklahoma. I went to
I know where that is. I know where Miami is.
the little Southern Baptist hospital there. And they had a codependency treatment center there. And so the definition I love of the word codependency is when we allow people, places, or things to become more important than ourselves, that we lose our identity. We are in the state of codependency. So I love that with your restoration and you not liking the word balance. I would say, for people out there with 2021 is for restoration is to really heal codependent tendencies because, people understand codependency with people. But codependency with places could be your job. It can be church, where you become so addicted to church, you're going like 7 days a week, or you're involved with service in so many different areas that you really begin to lose your own identity. And it kind of relates to that saying on an airplane: if the plane's going down, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. And so
Mhm.
I think with restoration and reinstatement, it's like saying, am I in checks and balances? Am I putting myself first so I have enough energy to give to others? And
Absolutely.
some people think that that's selfish, but it's not, because if you don't recharge yourself first, there's nothing to give to anyone else.
Absolutely.
Renew. Renew means what will you resume after an interruption of 2020? So what will you renew in 2021?
So, I think that, and I hope that a lot of people feel this way. I know a lot of people feel this way. We took for granted our ability to travel freely and gather in groups and I think that for me, I would absolutely love to see more of this country. You were talking about hitting different portions of. I watched a really fascinating documentary about the National Park Service. They called it America's Best Idea, I think maybe is what the name of it. PBS did it, and it's incredible. And I mean, I do want to see the world. Don't get me wrong, but the stuff that we have right here at home, I need to go see that. I want to go be amazed by the Grand Canyon. I want to go see Mount Rainier. I want to, and the wonderful thing about this is, like, outside of gas money or a ticket on a plane, which can obviously be more expensive, but it doesn't cost anything to get out in these places.
Yeah.
And so I think that's absolutely something that I want to do is really get to know the United States. So I want to go back to Italy. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely do.
Well,
But I want to.
the place you have to come with me, Grant, is I have two places that I found that I love. Is this picture you're looking at
Uh-huh.
is I met a man from Canada who he's a contractor. He built 3 or 4 homes, and he built these 3 villas that are attached side by side. Each villa is 3 stories high with 6 bedrooms, 2 on each level, 6 bedrooms, 6 private baths, living room, dining room. You walk outside and you have your own private pool. You walk down 3 steps and you're on this cove beach. So these villas, so there's 3 of them, 18 bedrooms, 18 baths. So when I can reconnect again and travel abroad, I want to start doing some what I'm going to call them is connection getaway dreams to
Hmm.
Aruba, where we can get a whole group of us, all different types of personalities, and we got 18 bedrooms, and we got the whole little cove beach, and just have a blast in the
Oh
sand.
yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. So I love Aruba. And then I met a man who's got a 21-room villa in the Dominican, 4 hours away from Punta Cana on its own little island. So, and it's actually at one of Ricon Beach is listed as one of the top 10 beaches in the world by
Is
Travelers
that
List.
right? Wow.
So I want to do Branson. I want to do Aruba, and I want to do the DR for my retreats. So,
Well, normally when we talk about Branson, that's the sentence we lay out there.
yeah.
Branson, Aruba, always in the same sentence.
Same
So,
sentence, same sentence. Reconnecting community. Reestablish a bond of communication or emotions is what the word reconnect means. So, how would you like to reconnect in 2021?
this is a funny story that I'm going to tell, and you talk about pulling the layers back. So, here a couple months ago, I got a speeding ticket, which I was overdue. I've averaged one speeding ticket every 2 years since I was 16, and so I was overdue. And so I got one, and anyway, long story short, I ended up going to court with the lawyer, and they talk about maybe if you can do some community service, do something with a nonprofit, that kind of thing. And we're still working all that out. But I told my lawyer, I said, well, I work for a nonprofit. Like, that's all I do is community service. And so we're laughing. And I think what I realized is, what's that next step? What's that? I mean, yes, this is, work time and the hours that we put in, and these are community projects, but I'm very passionate about this. What is that thing where I can give up of myself to go do, almost like, I don't know if I really want to take the time to go do that. I could be sitting in my house watching Netflix or doing something selfish, but to give up of myself to go help somebody else. Because I think, and I've seen it with, those end up being the most rewarding experiences. And it's, you walk away with a high that you wouldn't get anywhere else, where you're giving, to somebody else. And so I think that's definitely something that I want to explore, figure out what that fit is.
So reconnecting with community service that's not based on your job, but
right.
more out of your heart.
Right.
Your
Absolutely.
own heart felt, I want to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. If someone told you today you had to delete all of your apps on your cell phone, but you can keep 2 only, what are your 2 must-haves?
So it's funny that you say that, because I looked at that this morning and I was like, how am I going to answer this question? And so there might be 2. One would be DoorDash, and it's 2 reasons. One, because it's fascinating to me that we have evolved to the point of where a random stranger can go pick up my food and bring it to my house, and it's not like crazy overpriced. Like it. And they're making a living, and I'm getting food that otherwise wouldn't be in my, delivery radius, what have you. So that one, just because it's still like magic to me. The other one is probably Robinhood, and the reason for that is I'm definitely not a professional, trader by any means, but it's an opportunity to kind of learn about the options market and things like that. I've always been fascinated with the stock market, and so. While it has caused me a little pain, it's also caused me a little excitement. And so I think, that is something that honestly, I wish that I could take the time to learn a little bit more about. But, I wouldn't keep any of the social media stuff. I'd just take them tomorrow, so.
Well, it's funny, since I moved to Branson, when I was asked this question by another podcast host, she said this. I said, I have to have Waze. I said, I moved to Branson and I have no idea where north, south, east, or west is. When I lived in Chicago, I knew that Lake Michigan was east. I said, I've been here 2 years and I don't know where I'm at, except I know I live in Branson West. So that tells me I must be west of Branson. But I don't have any concept of direction since I've been here.
Now, I was assuming that I got to just keep Google Maps since that came with the phone.
No.
Okay. Then take Robinhood. I'm keeping Apple Maps. Yep, I'm with you.
Because I don't know where I'm going.
My parents, my dad's a big map guy. My parents went on their honeymoon. It was all a map, and so I've definitely, we've got this back and forth over. Well, just plug it in your phone.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, well, what's going to happen when you're somewhere and you don't have cell phone signal? I'm like, it's getting stronger and stronger every day.
Then I don't know where I'm going. Well, it's funny you said that. I had to have a procedure done when I first moved here. I had a gallbladder attack, so I had my gallbladder. And I had an allergic reaction to the anesthesia, and it left me with amnesia for 3 months.
Is that right?
Yes. And one day I go to Hy-Vee in Springfield, because I love Hy-Vee in Springfield. So I get all my groceries, and then I do my basic shopping at Walmart in Branson. And you're going to laugh. I pull out of Hy-Vee, and I remember I turned right. And all of a sudden I turned and I went, I don't know where I'm at. Like, I don't know where I am. And I pulled off and I put my waist on and I said, "Home, get me home." I don't know how to get home.
And that works. And it works.
I was like, I don't know where I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a funny one. So the last one is, what's one fun fact about you?
That I was an all-state bass singer in Missouri.
Wow.
And at one point was probably I'd say probably one of the top, kind of coming out of high school and whatnot. And so really the only time it comes through is if it's a karaoke night or something like that. And so that's probably one thing. And, didn't have any aspirations of going in that direction.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot, and you have the right to opt out. It's Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
So can you give us one or two stances of your favorite Christmas song?
Oh, well, the problem
and sing it.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
Ooh. That's pretty decent. Well, since you just did that, and I'm grateful you did, I want you to look up, her name is Alana de la Cruz, and she used to be a singer here in Branson.
I know that name.
She actually started, you're going to laugh, at Mel's Diner. But she's done some of her own CDs, and she's one of the authors in my new book, Fiercely Faithful. So she'll be here in Branson February 5th for the Fiercely Faithful Conference.
Wonderful.
So I'll have to hook you guys up and do some singing together.
Well, I don't know that I'm ready to go that route. So,
well, you'll have to come to the Fiercely Faithful Conference because it is for men and women. It is for both. Well, I'm going to show the audience your bio, and this is how you can reach out to Grant. It's got the website of the chamber and his LinkedIn connection, how to reach out to him on LinkedIn. And so it has just been a privilege having you on the show with us. And I really look forward to getting to know you better. And please reach out to me for ideas for events because I want to build Branson like you do. I have a passion for that. And so we should definitely stay connected for some event planning together, Grant.
Well, very excited with what you're doing with King's Castle Theater. I think that's a great model that could work in a lot of theaters. And so absolutely look forward to, I've enjoyed getting to know you better and your story. And thanks for having me on, taking a chance. I could have been completely loony, which you may decide that's the case and just delete this after we hop off.
No, I had a blasted, in ending, I forgot to let you know, guess who delivers my bottled water to my home I get my bottled water delivered from Ava Springs. Ava Springs, and it's funny because you said you grew up on a dairy farm in that area. Well, this man who owns this Ava Springs bottled water company, just so you know, he bought some. He was living out in that area, and he needed some land to put his big heavy equipment at. So he bought the old Carnation plant in Ava Springs. Do you know the old Carnation plant? He bought that several years back, and somebody said, "Do you know that they have a well there?" And he goes, "No." He investigated, found out it was an ever-flowing well. So now he has his own bottled water company called Ava Springs. Isn't that a cool story?
What's crazy about the Ozarks is I'm probably sitting on a natural spring right now.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. This is why we did.
And you can make millions of dollars by drilling in your.
We didn't get any oil, but we've got springs everywhere. So which I'll gladly take. So,
well, everyone, I'm going to sign off for today. And thank you so much, Grant, for joining us. And for those of you who have joined us, jump on the Connection show on Wednesday nights. It's called the Connection Zoom Gathering, where people will just join us from all walks of life. And we do fun things. This past Wednesday, we decided to do Christmas songs. So we all sang, and then we decided to do some improv comedy together. It's always different. The week before, we did some burden release, heavy work on releasing burdens in our life. So join us on the Connection Gathering Zooms on Wednesday nights. Thanks again for joining us, everyone, and have a wonderful day. Thanks a lot, Grant.
Thanks for joining us on The Connection Show. Let's connect now. We can dream together to renew, restore, and reconnect with wellness in our life and community. To enhance connection, join us in the Zoom Connection Gathering Tribe on Wednesday evenings. The Zoom Connection Gathering Tribe is an easy and practical way for everyone to meet up, gather, and feel welcomed and accepted. To join us, go to braveheartworkshops.com. Then click on the podcast tab and the Zoom Connection Tribe tab. On that page, go to the Facebook page called The Connection Show Gathering Tribe and register to join our Facebook group. We post secure passwords each week in the group so you can log in safely. We meet on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Mountain, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for 1.5 hours with great topics, laughter, and connection. See you on Wednesday evenings. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.